we are going to take a look at databases today. So we are continuing our goal to gain some familiarity with databases and understand the relational database model. We will also discuss some of the language associated with databases and then work with writing queries using SQL, which is known as the language of databases. So in this series of videos, we'll look at an overview of databases and practice writing queries. Some useful resources that we will rely on include the W3 School SQL tutorials and some hand-on practice. There is also a section in W3 Schools looking at MongoDB with Python, which is an advanced topic. MongoDB is a newer type of database. It's a NoSQL database, and it is compatible with Python. So for those who are very interested in this topic, you could explore that. I have a SQL cheat sheet that's good to use, and another option would be to take a look at DataCamp, Introduction to Databases with Python. That is some more advanced material for those who are very interested. Okay, so this may be familiar to some people, but this may be entirely new to others. We've been working in our class on extracting data from different web sources. We looked at APIs, we looked at XML data, which is usually used in local applications. We've spent some time looking at web scraping, and now we're going to get into this important topic of getting data from a source that is organized and persistent. So the way a database usually works is it's often on a server somewhere or available as part of an organization on a computer or a collection of linked computers. Our ultimate goal is to gain the skills in using Python to extract data from a database using queries. So we'll start with a section that involves learning the structure of a database, how to communicate with a database, and then we'll move into how to use Python to do that. There are a lot of different types of databases, and they're worth getting to know to some extent. They tend to have different pros and cons. Our focus will be on relational databases because they are so common in organizations, and they also support many websites. We'll use a Python library called SQLite 3, which is relatively intuitive to understand. And as I mentioned earlier, anyone with a very serious interest in this topic should investigate SQL Alchemy. That's a very sophisticated and versatile library, but it's quite complex. What it does is it aims to treat a database like a Python object. So turn the entire database into a Python object, use dot notation to perform certain actions. But that takes some time. So if you really want to be in this domain and understand how to work with databases and really set yourself apart professionally, really set aside some time for learning SQL Alchemy if that's an interest to you. And by some time, I mean several days in a row. So look at a break that you have coming up if you do. As I mentioned, there are two types of databases: relational databases and NoSQL databases. Okay, and we'll take a look at relational databases. So some examples of where you might experience a database would be, on a product page, right? Something like Amazon. When you search for a product, you are actually querying a database that exists on a server. And when we use our student information system, it could be Spire, something like that. That's a huge database that collects information about all of the individuals that are part of this large institution that we're a part of, right? And there are records, there are, addresses, responsibilities, there are courses, there are students, there are faculty. So the database is a collection of tables that are all linked together in some logical way. In the next video, we'll take a closer look at relational databases and try to understand their structure, and then get into some hands-on exercises. Thanks.